right?
Huh? What the fuck? I'm just trying to get to his trying to get to Jimmy's Facebook page.
Did you post it?
Yeah, I posted the whole preview thing, but now I got to find it because you're a member of 57 groups, so I have to.
I gotta get. I don't even know what that means.
Of course you don't. Hold on.
This is the
Where is
darkest.
this bad boy? Here we go.
This is the darkest studios known to man. This is like an episode. It's like.
Yeah, because you're here just in time for us to get everything set up. And
Well,
all the
that's not
lighting.
my job. My job. I come in here. I'm the backup quarterback. I come in. I take snaps. You're the center. You're the coach.
All right, you ready?
Yeah,
Tardy
yeah.
ass.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Tardy
Here we go.
ass.
Here we go.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Chop Sports Daily, coming to you live, for me at least. I'm coming to you live from the Dave Cave over here in my town, but of course, Gooch and Jimmy Palomo coming to you live from the flipping Made Easy studio in Matawan, New Jersey. I don't know what Jimmy's doing over there. He's just waving at himself, but welcome, fellas. I'm back. Feels good to be back, or sort of halfway home. Feels good to finally talk to you guys. Gooch, it's been a while, man. We went a week without this crap. This is
we had to do hand gestures last week because you didn't have any audio, but you were here. You were here in spirit a couple times.
Yeah, I was producing Friday's show. I was trying to get my picks up there so people knew that I was picking alongside you guys. But, you know, it is what it is. But here we are on a singular Victory Monday, and the only victory coming out of this weekend is the New York Football Giants. What is wrong with that?
Right there. This is, first of all, I've gone 7 weeks with the most obnoxious Monday podcast in the history of mankind, whereas the Packers and Cowboys were rolling over the NFL, which is a terrible league, which I've been promoting.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the Cowboys, I got to admit, the Cowboys I thought got completely manhandled, start to finish. And I think it's one of those classic, even though I want to rip on the Cowboys as not being that good, I can't say that. Every NFL team has a game like this where you just, nothing goes right. You get slapped. You don't know what happened during the week. Just guys thought they were going to win. They just, I'm sure next week the Cowboys will come back very much so.
Oh, we're putting 40 on the Falcons. We're putting 40 on the Falcons. But listen, so it's a victory Monday for Jimmy. The Cowboys get smoked. The Packers lose. We'll talk about all that stuff today. So obviously me and Gooch are not well as far as
I had a rough Sunday. That's probably the worst NFL Sunday I've had in a long time. And I know 2 weeks ago I had a bad one where I think I had like 3 wins. I'm on the same boat. I lost all my money. The Packers lost. I don't even want to get started on fantasy football. Did I bet? I didn't bet the Packers. Okay. I bet every other. Put it this way: the Bills. I'm more disappointed in the Bills than I am the Packers.
Your wallet, your heart, emotionally.
I already have no soul, so that's been
no
gone.
soul anyway. Okay,
all
but
right.
Listen. At the end of the day, we also have to. I have to bring this up early in the show. I feel. We also have to acknowledge the first time here on the show. There is a new member of the Chop Sports Network, and his name is Miles Sturcio. And Dave, in your honor, I went out and bought something that I think is very important.
That I'm not, you son of a bitch.
Just now, this not only it even includes a little jet cap.
Oh
okay?
My God!
So. And the reason why I got a onesie is because I don't care what fan you are. When the kid's shitting and pissing all over the place, you go through these. I'm guessing because it's a jet one, this will probably leak. It'll stain easy, won't wash well. So, and I think after one wash, this will fit a squirrel because your kid looks like he's 6'5", 240 already.
He's
but I also got him a little toy, which is my favorite thing. I actually found this in the
put the mic in front of your face, Jimmy.
I found this in the parking lot. I'm new here. I got to bring it up to the camera. It was in the parking lot. And the only way to really describe it, it's a little jet helmet.
Bro, that was straight off an Al Toon starting lineup.
Now remember,
like a Ken O'Brien.
Now listen, because I don't want to get sued. You can't give this to the kid right now because he'll swallow it and choke on it. And I can't have. Now, if it was like a cowboy one or a giant one, he probably would just chew it. But if it's the jet one, it'll result in a 9-hour surgery. So this is his first toy, his first jet toy that he gets from Uncle Jimmy right here. And the birth of Miles Sturcio. Honestly, we're happy for you, man. That's awesome.
It's been an incredible week. I can't believe I don't have to return him. Like he's mine forever, which is pretty cool.
That's
It's not a rental.
That's a guarantee. That's etched in stone. There is you're a dad. That's it, man.
So Uncle Jimmy, I want to thank you for the new burp cloth that he's going to have, where he's just going to spit up all over the Jets merchandise. I appreciate it. We
also got a gift here from Janine at Absolute Eyewear, which I'm not going to show you now. I didn't get a chance to talk to her. So when you come to the studio, there's a little gift there. I can almost guess what it is, but you do have some common fanship, and it's kind of nice that you're wearing your hat there. I love it that you're not wearing the cowboy hat.
Well, listen, I'm wearing a Cowboys salute to service hoodie, but you can't see that. It's a little
okay. Low. I thought it was I thought you were you were wearing that in honor of Gardner. Brett Gardner being released by the Yankees.
Yeah, well, that's big news that dropped over the weekend. Also over the weekend, obviously, me and Gooch are the resident of the trio that we have here. We are the resident combat sports fans. So there was combat sports before we get into the NFL slate and all the misery that is. We do want to start talking about first the Canelo fight. I don't know if anybody watched it besides Gooch. I was kind of in the middle of watching the UFC where it was on off to the side of me. I really wasn't paying attention. But hey, Gooch, did you see Dana White?
Yeah, bro. Even Dana White is a big boxing fan, and people are saying boxing is dead. And in some ways, they have a point. Largely, boxing is dead. But when there's certain guys come along, boxing is good. When Canelo's fighting, everybody's on board. It was a good fight, man. Plant did his thing, but Canelo's Canelo, and it was just too much in the end. That's really what it came down to. I don't think anybody expected Plant to deliver the way he did, but really
Now, I'm going to embarrass myself. I did not know about this fight. I like boxing as compared to MMA, but give me a 10-second. Canelo was the favorite. What weight class was this?
Super middleweight.
Super middleweight, and the favorite one. He kicked the hell out of him.
He didn't kick the hell out of him. It was early in the fight. It was probably 2-2 first 4 rounds, but then he got a read on him. There was an argument could be made for a couple of rounds going to Plant, but really it was like a shutout. But because Plant's only 21-0, he's kind of up and coming. It was a big fight for him, and he did show up. So as far as where he's at in his career, Caleb Plant did not come away.
It's not going to be no rematch scenario.
Oh no. It was a clear.
Canelo's undefeated as well.
I beg the question.
He's lost to Mayweather.
Gooch, I beg the question to you now that Canelo's disposed of another Plant. What would you say is next for this guy? Like, he's just kind of running through. I mean, look, I saw in the press conference that some Joe Schmo was in the crowd saying, like, are you going to set up an Usman Canelo super fight type thing? I don't like that idea. Not at all. At least not while
even Dana White was asked that same question in the post-fight presser at the UFC 268 event, and he was like, bro, I watched that Canelo fight. Usman, he's a tough guy, but he doesn't want to box Canelo right now. Nobody wants to
box Colby, but we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah,
well, look, UFC comes and goes. Obviously, UFC, my boy Colby Covington headlined that. We'll talk about that in a minute, but first we got to show you something graphic. Look away if you're queasy, but this right here is a legitimate shot. That is
not a Photoshop, ladies and gentlemen.
Frankie Edgar's face mutilated. Okay, I just, for him,
did it knock him out?
Yeah,
that was it. That was the death blow, and it's unfortunate for him because look, I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, well, the only reason why you like Frankie is because he's from Tom's River. Like I know some of his cousins, so it's like it's not like this is a whole like, oh, New Jersey's own, like this is, I've liked Frankie Edgar for a long time. I've met him a couple times already. It just stinks to see him go out like this and a kick like that. That was
I've never been the biggest fan of Frankie Edgar personally, but it's more so because I'm one of those people that everybody roots for Frankie Edgar around here. And I'm the person that just doesn't because of that. I go against the grain on that one, but I don't dislike Frankie Edgar. And I think I've always had to go out of my way to prove that. It's just because I'm not a big fan of his. Obviously, it's not great to see Frankie in his backyard go out like that. Like, he's one of the most likable guys. He's been in the sport for 15 years.
Bro, now, he's 40. Like he's been around the block, man.
40. You make 40 sound old, bro.
Yeah, in the UFC at that weight, when you're fighting 135,
and that's all for podcasting as well.
As you don the 56 jersey today.
I'm wearing that in honor of Chop Sports, the obnoxiousness of wearing your jersey after every fucking show.
Yeah, no. Wait, excuse your language. That works. All right. So anyway,
Yeah, you're good.
unfortunate for Frankie. Frankie drops. That I don't know what's next for the kid.
2 more fights left on his UFC contract. Frankie, we talked about this on the Chop Heads MMA show. He's not the type of guy that's going to walk away from a contract. So I imagine that he'll go out there. He'll fight 2 more fights, but then that's probably going to be it.
Yeah, he'll finish it out. Well, I can't even. This is not. There's no good way to actually segue to this, but Justin Gaethje, Chandler, Iron Mike Chandler, which by the way, I hate the fact that he chose that as his moniker. That first round of that fight. I mean, you guys will dive more into this, you and Tommy D on the Chop Heads MMA podcast, which soon to be joined by possibly the Pick Bish when she starts moving in. It's going to be a nice little family over there. But yeah, this first round of this fight was absolutely incredible. I said after the fight was over, I said, there's no reason to even like take notes on the other fights. This is fight of the night, 1000% hands down.
Yeah, and it's crazy because the card itself was, bro,
Very
6
sad.
finishes in a row going into the main card, and then you get blessed with the Chandler Gaethje war. It's probably not the best first round ever because there's been some fights, man. Like you're talking about Robbie Lawler against Rory. We got even Thug Rose against Wei Lee, who was also on this card, but their first, I mean, not Thug Rose. It was Joanna Champion against Wei Lee. That was an insane fight. So there's been some first rounds out there that have rivaled this, but because it started off the main card, which was, I think, one of the best things that Dana White could have done because it brought that crowd.
You saw the reasoning though, right?
I didn't.
Oh, the reasoning was the manager, the American Top Team manager, not American Top Team. Well, whatever.
Oh, Trevor Whitman had 3 fighters on the main card.
So they did that to him last time where he was running back and forth. He couldn't prep any of his fighters. So what they did was like, we'll start the card off with a banger. nice mug, which I could have said to Cedric Wilson yesterday. Hold on to the ball, asshole. But anyway, so the manager had to get back to get Thug Rose ready, and that wasn't possible last time when he had multiple people. So that's why that was a thing. So great fight. Obviously, Justin Gaethje got next. Gooch, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, he's gonna wait it out. I don't think that there's any question. I thought he should have probably been fighting for the belt as it was before Chandler did, and now that he kind of disposed of Chandler. And while it was a good fight, it really wasn't that great. Like it wasn't a one-sided fight, but it was clear cut. Gaethje dominated that fight.
The one thing I could say about this is that Chandler has an absolute eyewear type jaw, like his jaw, like bro. When I tell you, he was doing this. He was like, keep going, come on, and he was like walking with his hands down. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Like you're just eating these live UFC punches. Like this is not like a sparring session. You were eating live shots from Justin.
Not great for your long-term health.
Probably not. He's got
entertaining nonetheless.
So the Packers and Cowboys lose, and we spend 15 minutes talking about 2 fights.
Honestly, I figured that
corruption.
I figured that
That's
I would
why
start
I'm here
off
to balance that out.
I thought I'd start off the show with UFC talk because I know it's Monday and usually I don't get 3 words in, at least for the first 40 minutes of the show. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring in the combat sports and take over this episode.
That's good. I appreciate that effort, but your fans on Facebook just want to hear. First of all, we got to hear your take on the Packers.
We will.
We got it.
And Dave's take on the.
Trust me, that's coming. We got 2 more fights to discuss. This one's a little quicker than the other one. Thug Rose, she gets the decision. I think that, again, great fight, great second. It's a rematch. They know each other. This one went a little longer, obviously, than the last one when Rose kicked her head clean off her shoulders. And now we silver and smack as Jimmy brings up the daily news, which, by the way, Jimmy is the final and last subscriber of a newspaper. So that is.
Yeah, I'm sitting here talking about the UFC and the Canelo fight, and I look over and Jimmy's literally doing his research on the games right now.
I did that this
via
morning. I
the
just had to
box
take
score.
the papers out.
What do you think about Thug Rose being on Nunez and Shevchenko's level?
Is this for me or Jimmy?
No, this is definitely for you.
I'm not quite there yet because she doesn't have as many title defenses in a row, but Thug Rose, I don't think there's anybody for her at that weight. It's a little bit more difficult. There's a little bit more of a funnel of good fighters coming up, but as far as that level, no, there's a long way to go. But Thug Rose is the shit.
All right, to the main event, in which obviously I was very upset about. Colby is a friend of mine. I never want to see the man get hurt. But wow, Janine chiming in from left field saying she gets the post delivered to her house. So that's a thing. So there is Last of the Mohegans. I think my dad still gets the ledger.
Do you mean emailed?
See that?
What is this
See that?
delivery to your door thing you're talking about?
That's what because you get the paper. You read.
I didn't
paper.
know that they still actually paid paper delivery guys for the post.
Don't actually. It's
nonetheless.
volunteer work now. So,
See this? See this? You guys in your
Kamaru
interweb.
Usman gets the win, a unanimous decision over Colby. The only thing I will say, Colby Covington, the only thing I will say about this is that I didn't agree with the 49-46. This, like, if you lose a fight 49-48 across the board, fine. That means it was a close fight. You know, you did your best, you know, like, but I tell you one thing, Colby Covington at the end of this fight, and this kind of proves that Usman is the best pound for pound fighter by beating Colby again. This time, not as convincing. There was a couple times where, you know, Covington had his chances. He was lighting him up a little bit. He was sneaking him in there, a couple nice combos. But overall, we saw Colby Covington actually humbled for the first time. He, you know, his post-fight interview was very different than what you would normally see out of Covington. And I don't know if the shtick is up, or I don't know. I think he bounces back.
No. Because the post-fight Octagon interview, he was paying respect. And that's what happens when you go 5 hard rounds with somebody. That there was no controversy in that fight. He lost the fight. He knows it. So there was a little bit of humbling going on. But as soon as the post-fight presser came around, Colby was talking, I have no respect for Marty Fake Newsman. If you could look at his stomach, there's injection marks all over. He was cheating. And honestly, I'm not going to say Usman's cheating, but his face does look like it seems to be growing. And that is, you know, like when your face grows, am I wrong here?
No, you're not wrong.
When your face grows, that tends to.
Have you seen Bonds?
Yeah, the Barry Bonds.
The Barry Bonds thing. He was as thin
Bonds'
as
head
Jimmy
used
looked
to look
right
like
now.
this jet helmet, and then all of a sudden it looked like, you know.
Jimmy, I'm going to ask you 2 favors. 1, get the mic closer to you. 2, also
Okay.
get your hands off my desk because it's shaking the camera.
Well, that's because it's like earthquake when you guys are talking about MMA.
I know. See,
Help me.
He has the Jets helmet sitting on the.
I see that. Anyway, let's move it on. UFC, great card. It delivered. It you know, got over at 1:45 in the morning. But hey, guess what? As a dad of a newborn, guess who was wide-eyed, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed? I didn't fall asleep at all. Actually, I fell asleep during a Rams game yesterday, which is kind of crazy. I don't remember ever falling asleep during a football game. So things are changing here.
Oh, I'm so proud to say that I did not watch one snap of that Rams game. I was so depressed and so sick to my stomach.
I wonder why, but we'll start off with the victors. We'll give it to Jimmy. We'll give him the floor. The New York Football Giants move to an impressive 3-6 record as they take out the Las Vegas Raiders, who now move to 5-3. The Giants win this game 23-16. Jimmy, your thoughts about the New York McGiants?
You know what? The McGiants, you know what? Listen, the Giants, they won a football game in the NFL. To me, it was another bad NFL product for sure. Top 10 of that. I thought the Giant defense played well, but then I looked at the stats. Raiders had almost 450 yards of total offense. They just turned the ball over and missed field goals and didn't score. The Giants held on, and it's 3-6. But I don't. I just don't. I can't say the Giants like played well. You know what I mean? A couple of picks, they took it in. I don't know.
I think
home game. I don't know.
The one thing I could say about the New York Giants yesterday is the same thing I was talking about in the preseason, where I think the Giants, their best asset of this team was their defense. They played good defense yesterday. Absolutely. Like when you only let up 16 points to a relatively decent offense like a Derek Carr-led Raiders team, that's the only thing I could say about the Giants in a good.
They got a lot of yards though against them. They did move the ball between the 20s.
Fine. In the NFL, it's bend but don't break.
That's what you're going to get in the league now.
Yeah.
Like the Cowboys have the number 1 defense in the league almost, and they're letting up a lot of yards, but it's the point.
I just wish, a couple of penalties here and there, and the Giants, instead of being 3-6, could be, 5-4, 4-5 with some life, but 6 losses with,
Are you standing by your 9-win season, Jimmy?
It was 8-win, but
all right. So
I was just counting. He's going to have to go 5-3 the rest of the way.
I don't see it. But the division's, the division's not that great. So the Eagles and the Redskins are winnable games. I don't care, at any given time they're winnable. But I don't. At the Giants, at this point, I'm rooting for the Bears to lose and the Giants to lose. We get a better draft pick. They're not going to make the playoffs. They can't win a division, and I'm sure. I don't know what the wild card scenario is yet, but I'm sure.
Yeah, they'll come up with that. They'll come up with
advice.
Graphic.
My advice to Giants fans: how to proceed the rest of the season. You watch the games as if you want to win the game because you're a fan of the team, and you take solace in the fact that if they lose, it's a better draft pick. But you can't root against your team.
No, I don't root
It's just
against
bad
them.
for
I
the
hate when
Where I
culture.
was last year.
It's
with the
bad for
Cowboys.
the culture of the entire organization.
No, and the coaching staff never does it that way.
Never, and they shouldn't.
That's one of the things in the NFL. It's probably I'm about to say something stupid. I think it's maybe the least tanked.
Yes, because
league.
you have a team full of 53 guys. There's veterans on that team that won't even be there next year. How do you explain to a guy that's in year 12, we're gonna tank this year, but it's like I'm in the final year of my contract. There's coaches that are coaching for jobs that will be out of a job.
And there's second year players that barely made the roster. They're making $650,000 and looking to get there. Yeah, it's at least the Giants won't tank. I don't think this coaching staff is still relatively young in terms of Judge only been there.
You might see front office moves that make it seem like a team is tanking, but as far as a coach goes, a coach has to coach the best product to win the game on a Sunday. No question about it.
Quitting in the third quarter. I use the word quitting, which everybody hates, but I say it in quotes. That you see in the NFL sometimes.
Yeah.
And when I mean quitting, the guys are still playing hard, but there's not that.
You see a lot of teams.
You see that in college.
You even see teams where they're dominating and they quit in the second half. That happens. I mean, let's not talk about backdoor covers.
Yeah, the Giant game, it wasn't that exciting of a game other than they won. It's just a fact that the Giants won and the Packers and Cowboys lost. So I find that it's
somebody in the chat brings up Herm Edwards. You play to win the game, and that's what you do. You play to win, no matter what. This was my mentality last year with the Cowboys. I knew the season was going nowhere. I'm not going to sit there and be like, "Well, I hope they lose." You know what I mean? Like that's.
And you know what? It's not like it's a one pick. Like the Giants picked 8th instead of 6th. Like what are we what are we talking about?
Right.
You know, if you're the Lions or the one of the other one win 0-1 team heading into the last season, and there's a quarterback available, like what happened with the Jets last year, that's a little different.
You notice how those teams seem to be the same fucking teams.
Yes,
every year.
Exactly. Good call, Gooch. All right, moving on. Giants get a win. Congratulations to Jimmy. We'll move on to a game in which I know a lot of the people that are watching on Twitter are dying to hear my thoughts about the Dallas Cowboys losing to the Denver Broncos 30-16. This game was out of hand. It was 27-0 at one point. Look, either Dak Prescott was a little rusty. A couple of his throws were very bad. A couple of his throws looked like he hasn't played the game of football. There was a couple of them he spiked right into the earth, which I didn't understand. The defense, outside of Micah Parsons, who had 2.5 sacks, who played great again. Outside of him, our Lord and Savior Trayvon Diggs getting burned bad on a double move. And then penalties, 2 costly penalties. I don't know if you obviously watched the game, Gooch. You saw that blocked punt where you thought the Cowboys were about to turn it all around, and all of a sudden, because it went past the line of scrimmage, the
crazy rule,
shitty break, but it technically it's one of those things where it has to be the rule because it's a punt. You understand, but I think that they could revise that rule and say if the ball is tipped behind the line of scrimmage by the opposing team, then it should be dead ball. Period. Just like it's a dead ball. See, I don't know. I mean,
I got to be honest with you. I watched a lot of that game, and even if the Cowboys scored on that block punt, they were going to lose anyway.
They weren't stopping the run.
It would have been a turnaround. Let me ask you this. Now, this might be me being ignorant here.
Sure.
Prescott played the whole way, right?
He did.
Do you think late in that game, in El Garbage time, they should have maybe thrown the kid in, get Prescott out of the game?
I thought about that, but the fact that he's been off a couple weeks with the injury, I think you leave him in. The only starters I saw in throughout the entire last little heroic, on the scoreboard in the stat sheet, 30-16, still looks bad, but it was a lot worse.
It was. I think it was 30-0 actually at one point.
Yeah, whatever. What I'm saying is, I think they should have. I think they made a mistake. I think they should have put a kid in.
No, look.
The fourth quarter, you don't put him in. It's 30-0.
Listen, it's the NFL. The only guy I'm thinking you should take out is Zeke Elliott because you already showed that he was a little banged up. So why keep him in the game? But Dak Prescott needed the reps.
But he was hurt as well.
Yeah, but it's the NFL, man. It's the NFL. I'm sorry. You can't just coddle these guys and say oh, well, it's not your day.
Coddle him. They sat him a whole game. That was coddling.
The problem is that
you weren't in the NFC East. He would have played last week.
The problem is that the Dallas Cowboys, despite the fact that they were down so big, right? And I would never think that, even I was making jokes with my brother and my dad, 3 minutes left. You think they got it? They can come back and do heroics and blah, blah, blah. you can't. That sends a bad message to Dak Prescott, saying like, "All right, bro, it's not your day. Let's come on out. Cooper Rush, get back in there, Mr. Hero from last week." It's just a bad vibe,
I
bad
don't see
juju.
it
I
that
don't
way.
know.
I think it's a get it kid. Listen, I'll make a prediction. There's no doubt that kid Cooper Rush is going to play in a game this year, at least a series, based on Dak getting his bell rung and being on the sidelines or twisted ankle for a few series. So why not get the kid a little bit more reps?
Listen. Again,
the game is over. We're really splitting hairs.
There's only really, it has nothing to do with the reps. With me, it's like, okay, he's kind of injured. The game is out of hand.
Get him out of there.
Take him out, and that could be your Dak. Look, keep your head on your shoulders. We're not taking you out because of poor play. We're taking you out because the game is over. Go get some treatment. We'll see you on Monday.
See, I disagree. I agree with the sentiment. I agree with you guys talking about it like that, but I disagree when it's a guy like Dak Prescott, where this kid is a gamer no matter what. When he was down 27-30-0, he probably thought deep down in his brain, if we just get the ball back a couple times, I can get us down there and score, because they scored 16 points in like a half a beat. So once they started rolling, they started rolling. He said it himself. He admitted it in the press conference that it was just a bad game overall. He played like shit. He literally said that. He's like, a couple balls that just pissed him off, that just didn't make any sense. Look, it is what it is. At the end of the day,
Cooper and Lamb had.
I think
4
offensively,
catches.
and Dave, you might agree with this in some ways. I think offensively, the Cowboys, you could scrap up this game. Defensively, they're going to have to shore up some things as far as stopping the run. Because
the run defense, listen, we were 31st in run defense last year. It showed its ugly head yesterday.
Yeah, and there's a tale
but
of
I said
two
it in my other
seasons.
podcast, in my Jersey Boys podcast, I said, don't be surprised if Melvin Gordon does what he did to us a couple years ago as a member of the Chargers and runs all over us, because Melvin Gordon.
There was the one run by Javonte Williams where it was like
And
they had no business not tackling.
Listen, there's another running theme in this, is like, how good is Denver? They've been one of those teams we've been bashing. They're not that good. And all of a sudden, like, then they played lousy, and all of a sudden you're like, I think Denver's one of those teams we don't know.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the AFC West too, because I know that we're going to talk about the Chiefs in a minute.
Yeah,
but
well,
the AFC West 4 or 5 win teams.
At the end of the day, the Cowboys are 6-2. They're 3.5 games up in the NFC still, even with the Giants winning. The Eagles, we'll talk about them. The Washington football team didn't play. I'm not starting to worry because of the rest of the NFL, what happened. And that's a segue into the next game, where Gooch's Green Bay Packers fall to the Chiefs 13-7. They covered. Thank you. But that didn't matter. It was the Jordan Love show. I know that, Gooch, you being a Green Bay fan, I'm sure you had optimism thinking that the kid can play and the Chiefs defense was that bad that they can put up some points, but it wasn't to be. Jordan Love, your thoughts on him and your thoughts going forward? I mean, look, we think Rodgers will be back and cleared. I don't know that process or protocol, considering the fact that he's being a little bit of an ignoramus right now, and I don't know why. Is he saying a lot of things that some of us may agree with? Sure. But like, at the end of the day, if you're trying to get on the football field and win games for this really, really good Packers team, then you need to be on the field. That's the only way you can help. But 13-7, lose to Patrick Mahomes. Take over, Gooch.
I'm going to start off by saying, don't say anything bad about Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to stand for it, but that's besides the point. Aaron Rodgers, you could disagree or agree with him all you want, but I listened to that interview twice.
Not the interview.
He makes a lot of good points. All right, so as far as Jordan Love goes,
you're in the minority on that.
I'm fully aware.
And it's not the media, it's every outlet.
I'm not really concerned with the outlets and the minority. And
lied. Moving on. Talk about
you clearly are so not.
I got immunized,
what's going on
and you
there.
didn't ask me a follow-up question. Come on, bro. You're Aaron Rodgers. It's time to act the part.
All right. Anyway, about the game
wear a
yesterday.
Mask if you're not immunized, because you can cost team a win.
About the game yesterday, Jordan Love couldn't handle the blitz. Spagnuolo brought 7 guys, sometimes 8 guys every play. There was nothing Jordan Love could do. He looked so out of sorts. He needs a lot of work. He was changing plays with 1 second to go on the play clock. He was walking up to the line, getting the ball snapped off his chest. Tough situation for the kid going into Kansas City in his first start. Look,
I think that's the way to go. If you're a coach playing against a rookie, and even though if you're not a blitzing team, it's like, hey, you know what? Let's send the house on every play, where Rodgers would throw 4 TDs in that scenario. Send the house on every down and see if the kid can get out of it. And he couldn't.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything offensively against probably the worst defense I've seen in the NFL to date.
Well,
This
they have to
season.
blitz. Their defensive line stinks on the Chiefs.
Exactly. The Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs stink.
But the Chiefs, honestly, nothing about the Chiefs still shows me anything. And I'm not impressed with anything about what the Chiefs were able to do. And coming away from the game, I'm obviously upset about the loss, but the Packers look like a championship caliber team because if you take Jordan Love out and insert Aaron Rodgers, that defense played amazing. They really didn't give up a first down in the second half. I think 6 first downs on the first drive. And then midway through the fourth quarter, the Chiefs only had 11. So they gave up 5 first downs the rest of the game. They kept turning the ball over in bad spots, and the defense held up. I think Kyle was like, the sauce yesterday, he made a post. I was so sick to my stomach. I couldn't
He's
even
tuning in right now.
I couldn't even talk about the NFL. He says, I want to hear about your take on Jordan Love. And he's like, I can't bash him too much because he got me my cover. It had nothing to do with Jordan Love's play. That was all the Packers defense with that cover. Honestly, if Jordan Love could have made 1 or 2 more plays, the Packers could have won that game outright.
And is Rodgers going to play next week? Is that already?
That's the thing. I don't know.
That's the thing. If they don't need him to practice, then he's going to play. But if Aaron Rodgers has to practice, because he'll be back Saturday. They play Sunday, so I doubt he's going to play, honestly.
Well, Rodgers is probably –
you can't not practice. Like if you're a virtual participant for the whole week, it's not going to be good.
Rodgers is the one guy.
Yeah, I think based off of what I saw last week, is the week of practice going to really do much for Jordan Love either? I'll take Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers all day. Is probably the 1 or 2 players in the league that could miss practices.
Right. I was just going to say that, Jimmy. I think that 100%. Aaron, if there's any quarterback in football that can miss an entire week of practice and still play lights out football, it's Aaron Rodgers.
I think there's
probably maybe Brady.
As far as quarterbacks go, it's a tough position to not practice. There's running backs, defensive ends. If they don't practice, you could just insert them out there. Go get the quarterback.
It's like you got to send them. It's like you got to send them the notes. It's like you got to send them the notes from practice. Like this is what happened on today's practice.
If Daniel Jones doesn't practice all week, he can't play. But you're telling me he's gonna be activated Saturday. Aaron Rodgers on the sideline and Love's out there, and they're down maybe 14-0.
Yeah, there's just no way.
He has to play.
There's just no way.
If he can't be on the sidelines and not play. Put him in the, but maybe he's got to get online for a vaccine shot.
We're also welcoming in Hawaii Mike, bro. Thank you for your contributions to Chop Sports as well. He's catching a live show for the first time. But yeah, so look, again, rough game for them. I think they right the wrongs if Rodgers is back next week. Gooch, who do the Packers have next week?
Seattle. Yikes. So there's a lot surrounding that game with
Wilson, more than likely.
Okay,
so that should be fun. Now, look, before I move on, or before we go to break and cover the rest of the NFL, I do ask a question. I understand his stance, right? But like, first of all, shout out. Sometimes when Jim Slobin posts in Chop Sports, I think I just roll my eyes. I'm like, what's the next one? He definitely posts a jersey exchange between Aaron Rodgers and Kyrie Irving, and I thought that was hilarious because they're just the same people. But I'm asking you this, Gooch, as a fan. Like, take your theories and your opinions of the COVID stuff out of this. As a Packers fan, are you yelling at Aaron Rodgers right now? Please just go get vaccinated.
No, I got to keep it consistent with everything I've been saying about this situation since day one. So no.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know because
should he wear a mask?
Just that's fine. Carson Wentz does
that. Let me rephrase the question. Should Aaron Rodgers follow league-wide NFL protocol like every other team does?
Yes.
Okay. So he's not vaxxed.
So that has zero to do with.
If he's not vaccinated, he should follow protocol.
Now look, there's separate conversations we could have here. Should he follow the protocol? Yes. There's several other players in the league, and I can name 10 right now, which we're not going to get into, that are not following protocol, doing the same thing as him. Now, that's
bad too.
That said, could we all agree that NFL protocol is a little weird?
Doesn't matter where you work. If there's laws, if they say you have to take your shoes off before you come in the house,
I'll say this. Carson Wentz, publicly not vaccinated, always wears a mask on the sidelines. Yeah. But then again, here's your protocols. You could stick protocols up your ass because here's Carson Wentz in a huddle speaking to people right next to him. And then on a post-game interview, speaking to people on a mic. Like, it's just it's bad.
But
it's all
at least Aaron Rodgers was blatant about not wearing the mask.
Kirk Cousins pretty blatant about it as well.
Well, they're wrong too.
About that.
They're wrong too.
Let's go to break. Let's towel off because it's getting hot in here all of a sudden. And I'm not even at the Flipping Made Easy studio here on a Monday. We'll take a break, come back. We'll cover the rest of the NFL right after this.
You know, myself and Gooch are both getting a little older. One of the first things to go is your vision. Thank goodness for our hookup over at Absolute Eyewear in Woodbridge, New Jersey, right on Main Street next to the train station. They have glasses for all ages, all budgets. They have safety glasses, sports glasses. They are a full-service powerhouse offering eye exams and even free lenses for the kids. They work with BCBS, AAA, AARP, giving massive discounts. They're open 5 days a week, closed on Wednesdays and Sundays. Call 732-326-3937 to get your first pair of Ray-Ban, Burberry, Coach, Polo, you name it, they got it. Go see Craig and Johnine right now.
All right, welcome back to the Chop Sports Podcast. After all that Packer, Cowboy, Giant talk, we got to cover the rest of the league here, folks. And last night, Gooch, I guess, can't talk about it because considering you said he didn't watch a down of the game. But there was a game on Sunday night. It's the one that's most fresh in our heads right now. This took the sting. This took the absolute eyewear sting out of the Dallas Cowboys losing at home because they looked and felt like shit. Here are the Los Angeles Rams. Get the doors blown off them in so many different ways. And they lose to the Tennessee Titans without King Henry. No King Henry, but if you noticed, if you watched the game, they got about 17 running backs on their depth chart now. There was a new guy for every series, including the ageless Adrian Peterson, who, by the way, his first snap was a direct snap Wildcat. And I was like, wow, okay, you're not even there a cup of coffee, and they're running the Wildcat. But this was a bad game. Matt Stafford looked like Lions Matt Stafford, have you? A pick six, a very, very reckless throw from the back from his own end zone, which was also picked. A bad game out of the Rams. And now I look at you guys and I ask the question, with the Rams losing like this at home, are they still the pound for pound one of the top tier teams in the NFC, which I think they are? But I'll throw it to Gooch. I mean, look, the NFC still stacked. We'll talk about the Cardinals in a couple minutes, and of course Brady had off. But when you look at this game as a whole, what do you say about the Rams losing this one at home?
I say the same thing as you. It definitely takes a sting away from the Packers losing last night. But look, the Titans are a good team. They're 7-2. King Henry, no King Henry. It's still just a running back, and I understand he's the best one in the NFL right now. But when you block well and you scheme things up right, and you play physical the way they did on defense yesterday, there's more than one way to skin a cat, we'll say, even though there's only one right way. But that's besides the point. The Titans are a good football team. Mike Vrabel's a good head coach. The Rams are going to be there in the end, obviously, because they're 7-2 right now. The NFC is very top heavy. I don't see a team outside the top five that are really going to threaten any of the top five. But yeah, very good for us, obviously, as Cowboy and Packer fans, but the Rams are going to be there when it's all said and done.
Jimmy, did you catch any Sunday Night Football?
I watched a little bit of it. Yeah, I still think the Rams are good. I think it's going to be that, that Packer, Cowboy, Arizona, the top four, really. They're going to be all, hovering in the playoffs. Who can win the NFC. It's just a matter of injuries. And you're right, Tennessee's good. So, and again, the argument again, when Henry got hurt and then they win, I'm like, why anybody? There's protocol should be, if you take a running back before the third round as a GM, you should be fired. Like you just
shout out to Saquon Barkley.
No,
I think Derrick Henry is a second round pick.
I think a running back it's a big position still, but when your running back goes down, you're okay. Like your left tackle goes down, your quarterback goes down. Where the Giants have 15 receivers, everyone went down. Even receivers who played 10 years ago on the Giants, they ran the marathon and they fell and got hurt during this weekend. So
right,
but I think the Rams are going to be there. Rams going to be there.
Yeah. Oh, wow. All right. Some personal bashing here. Jimmy watched this game after another Knicks loss. We won't get too much into the Knicks.
We can't do a quick, dude. You know what?
Go ahead.
My biggest fear with the Knicks all year has been two things. Number one, they lost some guys from last year who actually played defense, and the Vegas over and under scares me. It was so low, and it was a sucker bet. Was it 41? They said, the last week I'm watching the Knicks games. I'm like, we might stink.
Oh boy. Well, we'll see.
Moving
on to another shocker of a game. The only reason why I say shocker is because the Ravens came all the way back. The Vikings showing their hand again of being a shitty team. I don't think the Vikings are any good. I think Kirk Cousins stinks. I think the Baltimore Ravens showed why, once again, they should be in the conversation for upper echelon of the AFC. And Lamar Jackson doing his thing. He's literally steaming Willie Beeman out there doing it all. And, they came to play. And once again, Justin Tucker hits a 95-yard field goal for the win. Jimmy loves these long field goals for the win. But the Ravens get it done in overtime, 34-31. Gooch, I mean, your thoughts on the Ravens? This was more on their comeback rather than the Vikings letting up.
I honestly think that these teams are fairly evenly matched going into the week, and I didn't talk good about the Vikings because they're coming off of a shitty loss where their offense looked like garbage and they couldn't beat Cooper Rush. But you see the difference between a quarterback in Lamar Jackson and a Vikings quarterback in Kirk Cousins. They're a very evenly matched team. One guy has the great quarterback and the other team has a bum. Right. And honestly, the Ravens, another thing that you notice about these teams is the Ravens win all their close games and the Vikings lose all their close games. The Vikings, Kyle says, +6 cash, though.
Well,
not for me.
I put Baltimore, they're 6-2, and you are what your record says you are, but I put them in that upper echelon of those teams we don't know. We just talked about like Denver and like how good are these teams? Right now, I think it's too early in the season to judge Baltimore.
I mean, Jimmy, we're halfway through, bro. We're halfway through.
Well, listen, they're 6-2. I'm not saying they're a good team, but they're not. We don't really know. Could they be a real threat?
When I look at teams like Baltimore, Pittsburgh, even in a lot of times the Giants, when they're hovering around good, around the midway point, there's two NFL seasons. It's about to get cold. Things are going to change. The Ravens, this is the style is going to start to lean towards to favor them the way they play football. So yeah, I think the Ravens are going to be there when it comes down to it.
I know it's not the next game, but I also put you got to start putting in that we don't know yet. The man up in Boston. I mean, they're 5-4 now.
We'll talk about them.
You don't really know. You don't really know.
Yeah, so the Ravens 6-2. Obviously, they did not cover, so they have a nasty 3-5 against the spread. So don't bet on the Ravens games for any reason. So Kyle and the sauce cash in on that one. He chimed in before. Moving on, another game that I said this was definitely going to happen. A Odell-less Browns team is way, way better than a team with Odell Beckham Jr. I'm sorry. This is a great thing, and I don't know if everybody's actually aware of the rules here. This is a specific rule for Odell before we get into the game. For this season, Odell's going to be subject to waivers today. As we record this, he is being subject to waivers until 4 o'clock. If no team picks up his $7.25 million contract, he is not to be a free agent until next season. He cannot play this year, and he will be owed $4.25 million from the Browns to sit at home and probably tweet and just be a jerk off and be a diva.
Do you think there might be a little collusion where these GMs like, you know what? Let's nobody pick him up.
I don't
save the Browns $3 million.
You're halfway through an NFL season. I don't know what teams' cap situations look like, even though I think the cap is somewhat of a myth. I don't know how many there was teams that were doing.
He's in his walk year.
Odell?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe so at all. This just came to a head and was released.
Hey, so listen, he didn't play for the Giants already. I would say Giants get him because the Giants are so depleted at wide receiver with injuries. But there's been because of the history.
There's been some chatter about the Giants reunion, but I don't foresee that happening. And $7.25 million is a lot to take on in November of a season.
Here's the bigger question though with Odell that you guys can maybe educate me on. Everybody's like, there's this whole thing that he doesn't get the ball. Like in the NFL, this doesn't work that way. He must not be as good as he was 3 years ago. I refuse to believe in this high stakes with coaches like we just talked about before. The assistant, the wide receiver coach, his job is on the line. Do you think he's like, hey, Baker, just don't throw to Odell? I think it's Odell is not getting open. He's not getting separation. He goes up for one hand to try to make the miracle catch. And I think he's just not as good. And because you can't turn around and say, oh, Odell didn't play. Look how good we are now. Who played behind him? Is he better in practice? Is that second wide receiver? The coaching staff had to say cancer in the clubhouse, and the guy we're going to start over him now is splitting hairs. Who's better? That has to be it. Not this emotional thing like, oh, Baker doesn't have to worry about him. The play comes in from the huddle, and you're either open or not. If he checks off, he's not open. He dumps it off to the tight end. So Beckham must not. He hasn't done a damn thing in 3 or 4 years.
I've been saying that.
Injury riddled. I will say injury riddled because he has been injured. But I mean,
that's part of it.
And how long do receivers play outside of maybe 5 receivers in the league? guys-
Receivers, if they could play a long time, if they find a role, it's almost like a point guard where you
Some
could
of the
kind
s-
of
Well, Randall
some of
Cobb
the
has been
studs
playing
play
since
a
like
long time.
96. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
you could just find your wrinkle. If guys that know how to get open in the slot could play
Yeah,
a really
but-
long time, he
But
should
your
be able to
speed
figure that
burners,
out.
you know what happens? You start out running a 4.2, then it's a 4.2.5, then it's 4.3.
right. He's
Next thing you
definitely
know, you're an offensive lineman.
There's no denying that Odell Beckham has lost a step, and I don't think that he is good for if this is a two team experiment now, the Giants and now the Browns. Okay, it's not working. His shtick doesn't cut it in a locker room.
Is he worth $1 million a game? $7
He
million
ain't
for the
worth
next 8
shit
games?
right now. To me, he's
No,
worth
he's-
sitting
he's
on
I
the
don't
bench.
think I don't think he's going to get picked up.
He's not getting
unless
picked up.
somebody's desperate.
Unless you think you're a contender, like a Las Vegas, who apparently are about to sign Deshaun Jackson, same one trick pony to me at this point.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, but a one-trick
Beckham.
pony that knows his role. His role and his job is to go deep, and he understands. The reason why the Rams got rid of him was because of Van Jefferson emerged, not because he's not able to do it, not because he's a cancer. And they kind of it was
And
like
he asked for it.
he said, "Can I be released?" And they granted him the release. There was no
That's
beef
a perfect
there.
example, Gooch. He knew his role. He said, all right, Van Jefferson's definitely a better player than me. I'm not going to get many reps. Let me go somewhere where I can get some reps. When it comes to Odell Beckham, this head case is not worth being in a locker room, especially if you're on the cusp of good things.
And
Can you
it-
imagine? Can you imagine? I know,
Look.
just think about it, Gooch. And I know I refer to your team because I always say, like, outside of
no.
Adams, you got nobody. It's a hard no from you
Hard
because
no.
you don't want that.
Don't
It's
want to
hard
do
I'll tell
that.
you another thing about Beckham, which is probably different than most receivers in the league. He has made so much money already outside of football that he, I don't think he cares if no one picks him up. He takes his $4 million. He's already made 70 on other crap.
I'll tell you, I don't
endorsements.
care if we never have another conversation about Odell Beckham ever again.
I
How about
agree with
this?
you.
How about
I
we
agree.
cover the fact that the Browns starched the Bengals, and that's the story. Odell gone. Baker Mayfield does it. Peoples-Jones, guys like the running game.
It was Nick
Everybody-
Chubb. Nick Chubb took over the
everybody
defense.
contributed. The defense played great. Now I raised
How
this
good
question.
is Cincinnati? You
Well,
know,
that's the
5
thing.
and 4.
That was the question I was going with. Is that how good are the Bengals now? Look, they got off to a really nice start. Their offense is young. They still got guys. I watched their route last night in a drop. He did drop the ball, but Jamar Chase is going to be really good.
He
gonna
is
be
already
very-
really good,
I'm
and
saying, like,
but
he's
people
really
mistake
good.
the fact that he's really good for the fact that he's also like 21, so he's going to make some
Correct. So
mistakes.
that's going to be a nice thing for the Bengals to have. Their running game, again, with Joe Mixon, to me, is your theory about Odell, half a man, half a season. He's always getting hurt. But again, the Bengals are exciting to watch. However, their defense is being exposed as being bad. And that's what we said from the jump, that the defense was bad. Like their offense can score points. That's great. But again, you can't give up 41 to the Browns. I don't care who you are.
Also, let's rewind about a month, right?
Yeah.
The Browns and the Bengals play, and the Browns beat up on Cincinnati. Nobody's blinking an eye. I think there was a little bit of a hype train behind the Bengals because of the way they were playing, even with their loss to the Packers. A lot of people saw that as like, wow, this team is a really good team. But let's not forget, they just lost to the Jets, bro. Like, what are we
Look at
talking
that.
about? This Bengals
Kyle-
team
Kyle
just lost
bringing
to
it
the
up.
Jets.
Kyle bringing up
AFC
the
North is definitely an interesting division.
last
team
week.
8 and 9 could win a division. There's no question. Well,
The
don't
Jets
know.
exposed Cincinnati as they're going to start looking like the Bengals again. That was Chris last week, right before the show. So obviously, we'll see. We'll see if the Bengals can bounce back. It's a big one. They have to at this point. Moving on to a game that nobody in the right mind even had close to happening the way it did, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars getting a dub over the Buffalo Bills, 9-6. What a barn burner, first of all. The Jaguars improved to 2-6. The Bills, now this is obviously, one of the Bills' losses this year was a quarterback sneak fail, right? So you're like, whatever. They went for it. They went for the jugular, went for the win. No. Now they can't do nothing. There is a different Josh Allen that we're talking about this morning, and we're talking about the guy who sacked Josh Allen. We're talking about the guy who picked Josh Allen. Josh Allen of the Jaguars gets this win. Gooch, I know you saw the score. You saw the game. What's your takeaway about this, man?
This honestly, I said this to you in the pre or on my post on Twitter this morning. I just said I'm more disappointed in the Bills than I am my Packers. The Packers at least showed me some signs of a championship team. The Bills, on the other hand, I loaded them up in the first half. I've been waiting for the Bills for now 8 quarters to come out of their bye week because it looks like they're still on their bye week. Even against the Dolphins in the first half, they were fucking looking like they were going to drop that one. And they did end up covering, but it was like they stumbled into the cover and won by 15 against a shit team. The Jaguars, I can't believe the defense played as well as they played. Josh Allen, the defensive Josh Allen, Jesus Christ, dude.
The new Josh Allen.
Is he not the best defensive player you've ever seen in your entire life? Just by watching that game, fumble recovery, fumble forced, sack, pick, all against a guy named also Josh Allen. Crazy how that whole never has it happened before where a guy sacked another player with the first name, then he also picked him off and
first and last name, not just
first and last name.
When I saw that score, my first thought was Patriots are going to win a division. I mean, like, why not?
Imagine? Oh my
Honestly,
God.
I did predict preseason that the Bills were going to regress a little bit, and because there's really nowhere to go from 13-3 but backwards. And look, Diggs isn't having the season he had. Josh Allen, what's going on with Josh Allen? Can he throw the football?
Here's
or what?
a comment from the masses here watching it, and it's saying no run game is catching up to the Bills. That's absolutely accurate.
And
they don't have
now
a running back who they can rely on.
Zach Moss is now injured. I'm not sure the severity of that injury, but look, the AFC is completely up for grabs right now, and we're talking about teams like the Patriots, who I think very much so could sneak in there. And
I don't mind the Patriots
take
now
that
that
division.
Brady's not there. I'm like,
that's the same as Gooch. Gooch is the same way. He's like a closet Patriots supporter without Brady there.
Belichick looks like he's like 77 now.
I can't explain it. I just I like Mac Jones a lot too.
Urban Meyer, since the lap dance, is 2-1. So let's call it how we see it, folks. Get lap dances, win football games.
Also,
absolutely.
I lost my survivor pick because of the Bills, which is why I'm most disappointed in them as a team in general.
Speaking of disappointment, Trevor Siemian played his ass off. He really did. But they can't get it done against now a 500 Falcons team. Now, I look at the Falcons, and I said this team was going to win 2 games. I did. And now they're going into Dallas next week, 4-4, and feeling feisty, and that makes me sick.
And they're licking their chops heading into Dallas.
They are licking their chops here on the chop.
How good is Atlanta? I mean, are they better than 4-4? Are they a lousy 4-4? You know what I mean? It's weird. It's that time of the year where everything's like this, except for
I think they are who they are. This is a good win for them. Obviously, seeing what the Saints are like without Jameis Winston, the Saints are going to struggle. Honestly,
which is insane to even think about that, Coach. The fact that came out of your mouth. Let's see how the Saints are without Jameis Winston.
Yeah, but look, going into the season, I was kind of high on Jameis, and he's been playing well. Jameis has 5 games with no turnovers this year. It's only 8 games into the season, and he didn't play yesterday. So he's been playing well. You got to give him the credit he deserves, and I think that the team believes in him big time. The confidence isn't there with the coaching staff. I think they even brought in Taysom Hill at certain points yesterday.
Cowboys according to Kyle Kerms, Cowboys by 38 next week. I don't care if Dallas is laying 20 points. I'm betting the Cowboys blind. That's the kind of thing I'm thinking. But here's the next comment that's coming in after that. This is where I worry. Cordell Patterson. What a story. This guy, we talked about him last week a little bit, about him finding his...
It's Cordell. I'm going to correct both of you. Cordell Patterson.
Guess what? It's Cordell Patterson until I say otherwise. So anyway.
You know what? I'm just going to call him Elvis Patterson.
There you go. Fine. So we'll go with any version of the Patterson. He found
Patterson, New Jersey.
There it is. Patterson, New Jersey is rushing the ball. He's catching the ball. He's doing it all. Makes me nervous as a Cowboys fan. Have to face that guy next week because we just watched what Melvin Gordon and whatchamacallit, Javonte Williams just did, but that's for later on in the week. But yeah, I mean, look, the Falcons are 4-4. Their defense is still kind of blah, but Kyle Pitts has emerged. The Falcons won another game. And for Saints fans out there, listen, Saints fans got to worry, man, because look, as much as Trevor Siemian, I think it was Scoop who said it on Friday's show, how he said Trevor Siemian wasn't as bad as people thought. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm also saying he's not going to win you a lot of games. So the Saints got to figure something out because right now they're 5-3.
Saints going to be in trouble.
Right.
I agree with Gooch on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is what it is.
It's that second week when you realize, we don't have our starting quarterback.
Oh, well, speaking of no starting quarterback, good segue, Jimmy, without even knowing. It was Colt McCoy and the Arizona Cardinals moving to 8-1, taking out the San Francisco 49ers. Guys, I think it's time to finally say the 49ers are a bad football team right now. A bad football team. They look like absolute shit. And I think this has to be, and I said this for a couple weeks now, if they think for whatever reason they have any kind of shot at doing anything in 2021, it's got to be the Trey Lance show going forward. It has to be. Like, what are they doing? Like, Jimmy G looks like shit. There's no other way to say it. Jimmy G does not look like he could start in this league anymore.
Look, I agree that Jimmy G is not the answer for the future, but I don't agree with the fact that Trey Lance is going to make this team better. I think that Trey Lance right now,
Mark at least.
a spark, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe he's just going to lose all his confidence. And you see how some of these guys just aren't ready. Like Jordan Love, for example, he's not ready yet. Not saying he can't be, but look, these guys need some time. And I think everybody gets these big eyes over the fact that some of these quarterbacks have blossomed right away. That's just simply not the case traditionally. And more so now than ever, it's because there's 5 guys drafted in the first round. Everybody's expecting to see the next best thing. But look, Jimmy G 2 weeks ago looked like he was good. You know, he played well enough. He had some rushing touchdowns, but let's not mistake the fact that the Cardinals defense is number 1 ranked defense in the NFL this year. So they're going to make a lot of quarterbacks not named Aaron Rodgers look the way they've made them look all year. They have, I think, 6 victories by double digits. So the Cardinals have been pasting teams this year.
They're doing this without. They did this
for a lot of yards.
Yeah, they did this yesterday without Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. And somehow, some way, I'm probably going to lose my fantasy football game this week because I was going to get, well, you know, Evan Gooch. So I'm playing Evan this week. He had no Hopkins, no Murray, no James Robinson. I'm still going to lose because guess what? Guess whose team is consistently stacked with Dallas Cowboys? Yeah, that's mine. I'm like a moron. But anyway, as you said, that wasn't sustainable, and I didn't listen to you, Gooch. But in any event, the Cardinals are 8-1, and now they have firm control in the NFC West with the Rams losing their game. What is this now? Cue up the Cardinals collapse. They're finishing 9-8. Week 15 and Week 17 are the only wins remaining on Arizona's schedule. That is bold, Cotton.
Kyle, I don't know that they're going to go 9-8, but I do envision a collapse coming for Arizona.
Boy,
just didn't happen against the 49ers, even though the point spread made me pick San Fran. I was just so bad yesterday.
And Gooch, speaking of being so bad, you stuck and rode with these Eagles one more time, and you burned on it again. The Philadelphia Eagles lose to the Los Angeles Chargers 27-24. The Chargers are now 5-3. The Eagles now sit firmly in second place, and I say second place lightly, with the New York Football Giants at 3-6 in the NFC East. Your takeaway from this one, Gooch, the Chargers, we're all still trying to figure out if this team is like legitimate in the AFC West, but now the AFC West is 1,000% up for grabs, bro.
Yeah, I think that they're as legitimate as it gets out West right now. I think right now, if I had to pick my team to win the West, I would go with the Chargers just because of the excitement. They have the 2-headed monster with Herbert and Eckler, and then the receivers are both good. I like their coach. Obviously, it's up for grabs. I don't think that there is a really good team overall out West. But if I had to pick, like I said, it's the Chargers because of Justin Herbert. The Eagles are not good, and it was I guess this was a nice game to watch. It was interesting in terms of it being a good game, but
yeah, it's close.
The Eagles aren't a good football team, and it took everything the Chargers had. It was a road victory. So anytime you go east as a West Coast team and you win early in 1 o'clock game, I think it's a victory. Like more than just a victory, it's like, wow, you got away with one. Those are the trap games. So out West, I like the Chargers going forward, but very apprehensive.
Jimmy, as a resident NFC East connoisseur liaison, you
My
watch
only
the
thing
game
when I look at the NFC is like the Cowboys have a 3.5 game lead on Giants and Philly, and I say to myself, will that be 5.5 games in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or will it be 4 games to go? Will it be a 2-game lead? You think the Cowboys will? In other words, you think the Giants and Philadelphia can cut into that lead?
No, because they still have to play each other a bunch. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that the Giants, the Eagles, and the Washington football team are going to be bad enough for the Cowboys to kind of not. I don't like the word coast because I don't believe in that. It's the NFL. We just saw the Cowboys get starched by the Broncos. Right. So like, it is any given Sunday. I believe in that theory, but I also
hate the fact that it's such a big lead. You know, like usually you're 2 games out, you're playing once, you know, that kind of thing, but 3.5, it with 7 games to go, whatever. 8 games.
We'll see. It would be an epic collapse if that happens, and Chop Sports will probably implode, and I'll probably sell my stock in the company. But anyway, we're moving on to the next game, in the game in which we're all kind of starting to feel the New England Patriots this season. All of a sudden, Bill Belichick is getting things done over there with Mac Jones as his boy. He is the chosen one now. He is the new Tom Brady. Not calling him Tom Brady. I'm saying he is the new son of Bill Belichick. And they're not talking about his crackhead son that's also on the sidelines. But the Patriots get a win over the Panthers. The Panthers now have lost a lot of football games since starting off 3-0. They are since then 1-5. The Panthers just don't look right, but the Patriots look like they're on the uptick, right, Coach? I mean, look, you've been a Mac Jones guy for a long time now.
Yeah, Mac Jones, the Patriots offense starting to come together. The Panthers defense is still decent, and they played okay in this one, but Sam Darnold, bro, what happened to this hot start from Sam Darnold? He started off 3-0. Now he's got receivers that are like just straight up yelling at him on the sideline. It's just not a good look. They probably should have held him out with the concussion and just been like, look, you're not good enough. We're not gonna throw you at Belichick in this one, but Sam Darnold got to get it together. CMC came back and it mattered nothing. It didn't matter at all. But don't look now. But the Patriots, I think they're one game out in the West, in the East.
The interesting thing is this game really wasn't close at all. And it always scares me when it's quarterback like Jones. He was 12 for 18 for 135 yards or something like that in a game that wasn't close. That just plays into Belichick's run the ball, clock management. We got the lead. It's nice to see that with, these. This week, it seems like no one threw for that 400 yards or 350. Mm-hmm. It seems like everybody's passing yards.
Yeah, it was a low statistical game week. I feel for quarterback.
I think Garoppolo might have had the most.
300. Wentz.
25.
But I will ask you guys this question before we get into the last snooze fest. Do I look tired?
No, I think you look good.
Okay, Gooch, do I look tired?
I mean, I don't think you look as tired as me, but
I'm getting comments and stuff like saying like Dave looks like he's about to take a nap. Like, I don't know, guys.
I think you look good. Listen, you're sad because the Cowboys lost. And,
I'm relatively. I'm upset. I'm hurt over the game, but I think we'll be okay. Speaking of not being okay, both of these teams stink. We'll breeze right through this one. The Dolphins get their second win of the year. My mom had to text me right away, like, my fish are doing well. Well, okay. Well, 2-7, your season's over as well. And
my fish actually died this morning.
What?
Now that you bring it up, yeah, my fish died,
dude.
First of all, should we open up with that in the beginning of the
I wasn't planning on bringing it up, but he said my fish are okay. He said
okay.
My fish aren't dead. Well, mine are.
Oh, man.
Your fish
I'm
died.
so sorry.
What kind of fish was
it?
I have no idea what fish. It was on the counter.
A beta fish kind of deal?
Yeah.
I have a beta fish. I think it's going to die every day.
It's, bro, I've been looking at it, feeding it like.
One thing about Chop Sports I love, we cover NFL, we cover the Knicks, but I think we need to at least spend another minute on, what was the fish's name?
Baby
fish.
Baby,
how long have you had it?
Honestly, I haven't had it for that. I've had it for about a year, but the fish has been in the family since it was actually a baby. It was like a clear little.
Okay, let me ask you this:
like booger.
Did you like not put the heat on because it gets cold?
Bro, this fish outlived most of my family. This fish has been around for quite some time.
Now,
everybody thought we died of old age.
Okay, everybody thought we were going to talk about Dave's kid and feeding habits and pooping and all that. But I just think it's sad. I think, you know what? Tell you what. Let's just have a moment of silence.
Right now, it's swimming around in a toxic pool of shit and piss.
I'm sorry.
Got flushed down the toilet.
The quote, this needs to be on a t-shirt, Gooch. What kind of fish was it? I don't know. It was on the counter.
Wasn't a fucking trout.
You've never heard of a counterfish? Come on now, bro.
My God.
It was one of those fish that if you put it in a tank with another fish, they'll fight to the death.
When someone in the Chop Sports family dies, I think we deserve to give them a little shout out. That's all.
Oh my goodness gracious. Anyway,
are there services? Did you bury it or what?
No, I flushed it.
You flushed it? You couldn't even take it outside.
The fuck? What do you mean outside? My cat hunts outside. My cat will bring the fish back in. You should have kept it in mouth.
You should have kept it in the family and let the cat eat it.
Honestly, that crossed my mind, but then I was like,
put that on a shirt. Chris's cat ate his fish. Baby.
Oh, I hear baby and I think of Ashley. Just that's the way she says it. But anyway,
my God. Did you tell fish. Ashley yet? She's probably a mess.
No, Ashley was there.
Oh, she was there. Did Ashley? You made it sound like Ashley killed the fish.
No.
Is there any kind of drama here? Who was near the bowl, the counter, anything?
No, I just said the fish died of old age.
Dave, we need a full.
Oh my God,
we need a full Chop Sports investigation on this. Well, maybe the fish was murdered. I mean, listen, we live in a world with conspiracy theories.
No, the fish had the Cowboys -10.
No.
There could
have been some sabotage.
You know what the best thing about this segment right now is? Wow. We should have spent more time on the fish than we did the Dolphin Texans.
we did. So it actually worked out.
It worked out just fine.
There's one more football game to be played. It goes down tonight. The Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Chicago Bears, Jamie Silverberg, Chicago Bears. The spread is big. It's big. And I don't know if I agree with it so much. We'll get into the picks in a second, but the Steelers obviously they found their way a little bit. They're 4-3 coming in. The Bears, Justin Fields, have shown flashes of good lately. I want to say that they're going to be in this game. No Khalil Mack again, as we know. But we'll start with the picks before we wrap this up. Gooch, obviously, you've seen a lot of the Bears. You watch the Bears a lot being a Green Bay Packer fan, but you also have seen the Steelers defense rise to the occasion. Who do you got in this game? You got to bounce back here, bro. You had a bad week, so let's pick.
I mean, I'm not going to bounce back here. I'm picking the Bears because honestly, I don't like the point spread being as high as it is with the over-under being as low as it is. So just going to go with the Bears for that fact. I think the teams are fairly evenly matched. Big Ben can't get out of his own way. Justin Fields can. So whereas they're both going to struggle to throw the ball, I think in this one, at least Justin Fields could do a little bit more with his feet. I think that's the one thing that you can't account for with this Bears team.
Well, bears eat fish, so in honor of your fish dying,
yeah.
There's if any Giant fans not rooting for the Steelers, you don't understand the draft scenario.
Yeah,
the Giants have this Bears pick, so I'm rooting heavily.
I just
for the
haven't
Steelers.
seen enough of good football out of Pittsburgh consistently for me to pick them right now. Laying the 7 points. That's all. I think that they're probably going to win.
Bears.
I'm going with the Steelers because of the draft pick for the Giants.
All right. I'm gonna ride with Jimmy on this one. I got a feeling that this could be ugly early. The Bears defense has not really shown up to me, and now with one less pass rusher, I think the Steelers defense also going to get to Justin Fields a lot, is going to shake him a little bit. He might get that boo-hoo look on the sidelines very quick. It's a Pittsburgh home game in prime time. Give me the Steelers all day. Give me the -7. They might even win this game by 10+. I don't know. I got this feeling about the Steelers that they're gonna run the ball well. Najee Harris obviously coming into his own as the premier back over there in Pittsburgh. And I like the receivers, man. You can name 4 of them right off the rip as far as the Steelers go. They're all household names at this very point, except for obviously Juju being out. But give me a big game out of Deontay Johnson. I need it. and that'll be that. So the Steelers will take care of that, take care of business tonight. So anyway, guys, it has been pretty awesome to get back into finally talking some sports with you guys. It's been a week full of legitimate shit coming from diapers and spit ups and all that stuff, but it's been an absolute blessing, as Jimmy points once again to the Jets helmet that he bought. Jimmy, I want to thank you for the new toilet paper known as your I called it a burp club.
You need onesies, bro. You need onesies.
I got plenty of onesies, bro. Trust me. Yeah, my boy was rocking the Dak Prescott onesie yesterday. And there it is as he brings it up to the screen again, the New York Jets onesie, as he feels like they're going to be, that my son will totally rebel against me eventually one day.
Did you see my post on Facebook? What your daughter was whispering in his ear? I was crying.
No, I didn't see all of your 15 comments on my Facebook page. I have no idea what you're saying there, Jimmy.
Don't worry. Wear the Cowboy shirt. He'll give us money.
Yeah. Go to Uncle Jimmy for that money.
Jets.
The podcast network is growing, and obviously it had a really good week last week. Let's keep it up by downloading all the shows today. Obviously, Jimmy Palumbo.
Wait, before we go, quick on your take on the Knicks. 5 seconds.
They stink. There's the Jimmy Palumbo take on the Knicks. They'll bounce back. They're a good team. They're deep. I'm not worried about it. I think they'll be okay.
Rutgers football stinks. Have to put that in there.
Yeah, I mean that again. That's just we didn't touch on any college football over the weekend, but again, I will shout out our chop athletes that we want to keep pushing to the moon. I think some of these guys have a lot of potential. We started talking about the muscle hamster, Brett Callender. I don't know if that's how you say it or not. I've never actually, I forget how to pronounce his last name, but it could be Callender, whatever. Anyway, he's number 1 in the country in D3 wrestling at 149. Number 1 in the country, and he's with Chop Sports. And of course, Paz, our guy Paz, we're in discussions and creation process of getting him a banger of a logo. It's almost wrestling season, something we can all watch. What is that now?
That's Chris's fish.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness gracious. So RIP to the fish. Shout out to all our NIL chop athletes as we continue November as we celebrate all of our guys. And there's more fish pictures.
Looks like the one in the middle.
Listen, you got to honor a Chop Sports member goes down, man.
This is true.
Who's the next fish up?
Next week. Say that shit. You know what though? as Gooch is being silent right now, I'm starting to think like this means something to him.
I think so. Maybe you know what? Maybe I may have to apologize.
No, I was just thinking about how I'm going to dispose of the turtle next.
Is there water still in the tank? Did you get rid of the water?
No, it's still sitting on the counter.
Oh, it's an empty tank.
So it's just like
well, maybe a detective wants to take a sample. See if there's
it's
like
a memorial. We're gonna leave it up there for a week. We're sitting Shiva right now.
Okay, so 7 days in mourning.
So now the fish was Jewish. Okay,
it's a Jewish fish.
Jewish
Right,
fish.
David. What is this?
I like it. Where's the name of the podcast today?
God.
The Jewish fish.
Oh, I did send Scoop a picture of my cat yesterday. Dave, you've gotten pictures of my cat before. This was one of those situations where I was texting Scoop like at the same time I was texting Ashley. And I took a picture of my cat and sent it to my buddy Scoop. So he's like, "Why are you sending me your pussy?"
See that?
I was like, well played, Scoop.
I think the cat got in the bowl, took a bite out of the head, and then threw it back in the tank.
Bro, the cat would just sit on the counter and stare at that fish
until
for
everybody
hours
goes away.
and hours. So maybe the fish got scared.
Do you like sushi? I'm just asking. I'm like
No,
a Detective
bro,
Columbo here.
Come on. I barely even eat.
You know how many times? Actually, according to the Jimmy Palumbo show, Jimmy has played a detective multiple times in his career.
So let me ask you something, Chris. Were you near the bowl as you were watching the Packer game?
Yeah, you know, like I probably was watching Jordan Love get the ball snapped off his crotch, right? And just pouring too many flakes into the bowl.
I just find it weird that the
Overfed.
Cowboys and the
it,
Packers lose and your fish dies.
Oh boy!
Now
it's
one more thing.
foul play.
Shitty imitation of Columbo here.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys for joining us every day as the crew is somewhat, I want to say like 50% back together. I'll be back in studio more than likely next week. There's the silver and smack as the Giants get it done. It's not a victory Monday for the first time in a month for me and Gooch. I haven't experienced a loss since before my birthday, which is September 10th. So that was, it's been a while since I felt a loss. But anyway, for Sturch and Gooch, and of course, Jimmy Palumbo in studio today to record a brand new episode of the Jimmy Palumbo Show. Be sure to subscribe to the network, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, share this stream, do everything you can to help support Chop Sports. You don't have to do much. It's just a couple clicks, and we appreciate you guys. So with that being said, enjoy the Monday Night Football. We'll be back tomorrow as we begin Week 10 preparations. Take care, everybody.
Scoop, who actually took second and third in that survivor pool? Let me know.
Are second and third getting paid out?
That's a very good question. I've been being texted.
I thought it was winner take all.
It's not.
All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'll talk to you guys later, both you and Gooch. And
I gotta take Chris to Petco now before
Joel Embiid out tonight against the Knicks.
Oh, he is?
Oh yeah, baby. Let's go. Later, guys.